Cause I'm about that. Cause I'm about that. I'm about that come up, running up on them fools that are talking foolish. Try to get them funds up, killing them mic just like I ran a jewels in. Y'all gonna get done up front, knowing that kid with an attitude, but you can't really blame his mother. Man, it's what he had to do. I'm about that cash flipping, I'm getting it on and off the market. Not about that VIP, not me, not never been a fan of carpets. All about that RIP, but all of my Jesus gone departed. All about that finish, what I started, I'm about that.
Top down, like you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night. Down, like you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night.
Know that I'm about it. Want it, man, I can bring the drama. But it ain't by chance I'm fucking rapping. You don't really want a problem. Made a little cash in the back end, but still rapping like I'm starving. Yeah, y'all gotta ask who the man is. Hope I'm gonna be like, beg your pardon. I'm about that.
Top down, like you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night. Down, like you're not ready. We ride, we're about that. So high, we see the whole city. We own the night.
And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is a Monday edition of the YSN Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you, and proud to be with a few of my friends. Guys, it was a hectic weekend. We're going to get to all that information in just a little bit. But first, we're going to celebrate what I think is one of the greatest inventions of all time, and it has its own day, and it just happens to be today. It is National S'mores Day. When you look at campfires, they haven't been the same since the s'more came out, and the s'mores have mutated in one direction or the other for the last, 20 years or so. What is your, favorite edition of the s'more? Is it just straight up the graham cracker, the marshmallow, and the chocolate, or is there some kind of delicious mutation that you've come up with? Billy, we'll start with you.
DJ, watch out behind you.
I actually had this about a month ago. It was a graham cracker, a Reese cup, and a marshmallow, and it was way better than the traditional, at least for me, than the traditional s'more.
That's the money. That's the one I've gone with for a while now. Ty, what's your take on the s'more?
I usually just do the regular s'more, but recently I had those fudge striped cookies act as the graham cracker, and then you just do a marshmallow in between them. Sometimes a thing of Hershey's as well. But yeah, it's usually the fudge striped cookies that are pretty good, a unique one.
All right, Malibu Paul, what do you got?
I was gonna kind of kick off with Billy Mack there, a little bit of peanut butter. Throwing some peanut butter on there with all that stuff is a good combination for myself.
Do you want to brag for a minute where you're at?
Oh yeah, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, everybody. There it is.
You better be quarantined when you come home, 14 days.
So, hey, actually, you know what? I just found out today that Myrtle Beach is in the green now. It's not one of the states that you have to quarantine from. So, but just in case, I'll stay home for 14 days. Don't worry. Yeah.
All right, let's go from the beach bum to the YSN bum, the Jeff Bezos.
Whoa, that's rude. I'm not a s'more guy. I don't really like s'mores at all. It takes too long. I usually burn the marshmallow, and then I just throw the stick with the marshmallow into the fire, and I find the nearest cooler with beverages in it so I can start drinking those.
So your waistline says otherwise.
Oh, boy, here we go. Hawaiian Jamie, get us out of this.
I'm a traditionalist. I like the straight-up graham cracker, marshmallow, and chocolate. Love making them by the fire. And unlike Jeff, I actually know how to cook a s'more, so I get the nice golden brown. Amazing.
We brought to a special guest, Tim and Quinn. Guys, what's your take on the s'more?
Yeah, I'm like Jamie. I'm just a straight-up regular s'more kind of guy. Just, it's good. Don't mess with it.
Yep, traditional is the best.
Quinn, do you want to introduce your guest?
Yeah, so this is Tim. He was my boss for the longest time at YSU. And by longest time, I mean legitimately long time. He's a great friend of mine. He's a mentor to me, and I could go on for another couple hours on what I think of Tim, honestly. But great guy, and glad that he's part of this.
Tim, the fact that Quinn could go on for hours says more than you'll ever know, because usually he's good for about 6 words an episode. So I'm excited to get your take on some of the stuff we're going to talk about, but we go over to the freshly released Anthony Hartwig from Running Point. Ant, what's your take on s'mores?
I just thought of this. It might be a good idea. I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know. But my favorite chocolate bar is the cookies and cream from Hershey's. Use that instead of the normal Hershey's milk chocolate bar for your chocolate. That might taste really good, like a cookies and cream kind of blizzard type s'more. I think that might be it.
You guys are part of that evolution, and it's no surprise because you're part of the revolution here at YSN. So happy National S'mores Day to all of you guys. That's about as good a news as we're going to get throughout the rest of the show, because, guys, it gets heavy in a hurry when we talk about the OHSAA proposal that was put across social media and across OHSAA's website on Friday late in the afternoon, about 4:45 or so. They came out with this, and basically it outlines for football a 6-game regular season, a 7-game postseason, and it's just crazy. If you're eliminated from the playoffs, you can go back and finish your season essentially, as long as it's 10 games or less. So everybody makes the playoffs, which is to me, because then you look at everything and financially, the only one really making out on this deal is the OHSAA. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of things here that people aren't looking at least at first sight, like, are we actually going to play? Let's just take it from the top and go over what is your initial thoughts, or what are your initial thoughts of the OHSAA proposal. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you love it? What side are you on, and why? Let's start this one off with the guy who kind of broke it to us, Paul Munson.
So my thing is obviously, number one, it's a money grab. Because they're adding 2 extra weeks to the playoffs, and with everybody making it now, OHSAA only makes money in the playoffs. They don't make money during the regular season. They don't even give schools money during the regular season. So for them to now say, hey, we're going to have 2 extra weeks, and everybody makes it, and I think they're trying to entice the teams to say they want to play, because then they're going to say, well, if you happen to get booted, then you can go back and keep playing football games up until, I think it was November 17th. So it's just, I think it's going to be really, really tricky, because then when you start looking at the league aspect of it, you take the NE8, for instance, obviously, because I'm, that's one of our leagues and I'm closely associated with it. There's 7 teams in that league. So, okay, do you say we take the first 6 games and sorry for that 7th game, you don't get it? Because then you're going to have teams say, well, what about a league champion? Are we going to have a league champion? Or are we just going to play these 6 games? And I saw an interview the other day with one of the local coaches when he said, hey, where does your loyalty lie? Does it lie with your league? Or does it lie with these non-conference games that you've signed contracts with, shaken hands with coaches and ADs and said, we're going to honor playing you guys for the next 2 years, home and home. And now all of a sudden, those are gone. Because nobody's going to play those, especially if they're in the league. You're going to play your league games, but it's just, I don't know. To put it in the best way I can, it's going to be a shit show.
It is, and you look at it, some of the games that we're going to lose, it's on ysnlive.com right now as part of the NE8 conference schedule, going to play in their conference only. I can tell you this, that there was another conference that did almost like a lottery, I guess you would. They drew straws, they drew whatever you want to call it. One team has to be out. So if you look at the EOAC, the way it's released right now, Letonia will not play Columbiana. And that is a rivalry game, but that's just how the way things went. So when you look at the NE8, if they are choosing, and they have the official vote tomorrow, I do believe, but the way it stands now is you won't see Canfield, Poland. You won't see Girard versus Palestine, Hubbard versus Norwayne, Jefferson, Grand Valley. You won't see South Range, Springfield, Niles, Howland, Struthers, Lakeside, Girard, West Branch, Hubbard, Howland. You go down the list, Poland, Boardman. These are big games that are not going to happen because now you have to be part of your conference. You have to look at your conference first. And that's going to cause problems because Canfield, Poland, you look at the gate that they would have, or even from a pay-per-view standpoint, how many people want to watch that game? It's going to be a big loss for both of those schools. And honestly, it could teeter some of the relationships moving forward. We saw at Canfield, Poland last year, relationships where, I mean, they almost didn't play. So it's going to be interesting. Let's go over to Billy Mack. What do you think about kind of the OHSAA proposal from a coach's standpoint? Does it make sense to you?
I mean, I think there's a lot of things that you can, as a coaches, I'm thinking like, well, if everybody makes the playoffs, then really the objective isn't who cares about the regular season games. It's just to clean up some stuff and get ready for the postseason. You know, I think you're going to see guys that like you got a tweaked ankle or some hammy issues. You don't have to necessarily worry about playing the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season. You just gear up ready for the postseason. But I did come across this article here about the Coaches Association saying that the coaches were upset that the OHSAA didn't take any consideration in the plan that they drew up. So Tom Pavlansky wrote and some article here on what is this, Sydney Daily News. I think this is out of Columbus area.
Yeah, it's interesting. If they didn't go with what was worked on essentially for the entirety of COVID, when football season was on the outs, it just tells you what we all kind of knew is the OHSAA plays by their own guidelines, and they don't care what anybody else says or does. They're going to do what they want to do and what's best for them. Ty, your take on that?
I mean, honestly, it's like you're throwing stuff at the wall, just hoping something sticks. But I mean, to be frank and honest with you, and just be as real as possible, I don't see a high school football season even happening this year. And I know we'll get to it later in the show today. But I mean, as we're seeing how college football is happening, I mean, colleges have more revenue that they have to spend on sports teams, and they have better testing equipment normally than most high schools do. And if they can't make this work, I can't see how a high school football season can even happen this year.
Good take. Hawaiian Jamie, over to you, my friend.
Looking at it, glass is half full here. OHSAA, at least they came out with something, just trying to get something done. And I know the non-conference games, losing those, like Hubbard Howland, we always play Howland, so it sucks that we're not going to have that. And, playing Norway, we've only played them a few times, but they've always been good games. And it sucks you're not going to get to see that, but at least that you have the conference play, and you're still going to be able to play some big rivals like for us, Girard and Poland. I still like it.
Quinn and Tim down in the middle corner. What do you guys think about all this?
I mean, to me, it just seems like they're throwing things, and they don't have any idea what they're doing either, to be honest with you. I think they're putting off the inevitable of canceling the season by coming out with stuff like this, just because they don't want to kind of do that blindly. But at the end of the day, I think they're going to cancel
same
it.
sentiment. It looks like you're nodding your head there.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like they're throwing stuff against the wall, trying to make it stick, like he said. I mean,
what's crazy about all of this is you work for Youngstown State University in the equipment room. I mean, you're basically in control of many sports. For those who don't know you, how does your preparation change with the unknown?
In my world, it doesn't change. I mean, I'm gearing up like we were, getting ready. The only difference is that I had a little bit extra time to get ready since they didn't have any preseason camp. Most of my sports are coming in when school starts next Monday. But other than that, nothing's changed. I mean, in my world, if you have student athletes, you have to equip them, regardless of whether they have, games or not. They're still going to practice as long as they're school. So, yeah, I mean, my preparation has not changed as far as that. I mean, other than getting things in, late and slower, than just waiting on things to come in. But other than that, no, I just goes normal days.
I never thought I would say this, but I think Quinn married up with the trophy wife now with you, Timmy, because we go over to the divorcee, Jeff Bezos. What's your thought?
Well, my first thought is everyone making the playoffs is stupid. Why even have playoff? Why even have a regular season then? Just tell them, okay, you guys going to jump right into a 7-game postseason without even having the season's pointless right now. The games you can play are pointless. It's just a bunch of preseason games going into the season. I just don't think it's going to work. I don't even think you're even going to get 3 weeks done out of the season this year.
Anthony, you've had 3 hours to think about this this response. What's your conclusion?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, from a business perspective, we talked about it. It's a smart move because now the OHSAA, they're sitting pretty whether or not there's football or not. I mean, if there's not football, they'll get that COVID cash from losing the playoff games they'll lose. And then if there is football, then they're going to make a lot more money than they would have in a normal season because they've added so many playoff games. And that's good for them because they lost so much money in the basketball season and the spring season. They're obviously trying to compensate for that. And, you know, you got to see them as a business because they are a business. And from a business perspective, I think it's a smart plan. It also leaves a little bit of room for high schools if they have a problem where they have some room to postpone a game or what may be to kind of fill in a bye week or what it may be. So I think it's kind of it's a part of the plan as you can have, but it might be a moot point come tomorrow.
So basically, you're pointing out that the OHSAA is a business and they're running it as such. They don't really care what anybody else like us, the fans or the kids and all this care. They care about they're going to get their money one way or the other. Okay, I can get on board with that. It's an interesting proposal, and really it all comes down to, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, does Governor DeWine also think it's interesting? Does he think it's feasible, and will he let it happen? We'll find out and get your take in just a little bit. But first, I want to kind of go off of this and say, how do you feel about teams playing conference-only schedules? And if you're on this, is there one game in particular that you're going to miss that is not a conference game? We'll start off with you, Anthony, down in the bottom.
Well, absolutely. I'm going to miss South Range Springfield. I mean, that's a huge rivalry. I'm a South Range grad. And to not see those two teams kind of put it together, that's going to be tough because that's always a really good football game. But I mean, conference-only schedule, something is better than nothing. So if you're out there, you're playing your conference, you know, those are the games that matter in a normal season because you're playing towards a championship. I'm sure they'll find some way to crown a champion. Even if everyone doesn't play everyone, they'll find some way to kind of put it together to say, hey, this team's the champion or not. And as far as there's still a lot of great conference games out there that are going to be great matchups. So something's better than nothing. If it's conference only and that's what we have to do to get football, then I'm all for it.
Tim and Quinn, we'll go to you. Quinn, being a Canfield grad, I got to believe I know where this is going to go.
Yeah, I mean, naturally, you're going to miss the Canfield Poland game. But, you know, being a coach at Lisbon, I've gotten to see the EOAC and I've gotten to see Lisbon play a lot of the EOAC. And, I mean, it's one of those things, like, if that's what has to happen to make sure sports happens, then you got to kind of deal with it. But, yeah, Canfield Poland is the one game that I
Timmy, what's the one game that you look forward to all season that may not necessarily be in conference?
What, like YSU? Can I talk about YSU?
I mean, I guess, yeah, we could do that if you want. I mean, high school or YSU.
No, I mean, ever since I've been here, you know, I've actually, you know, been partial to the Mooney teams and stuff. So, but I mean, I was looking forward to the Akron game this year.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one, and we'll get to the that particular the SVC schedules in just a minute. Paul, your thoughts on this conference? I mean, we've talked about it at length, kind of offline a little bit. What's the one game you're going to miss?
The one game, I mean, obviously, you know, to piggyback off of Anthony being a South Range guy, obviously Springfield South Range was going to be a good game. I mean, you know, Brungard out there is lighting it up, and it would have been nice to see how South Range would have stacked up against them this year when they had a chance to win last year's game, and then Springfield goes on to play for a state championship. But the game I actually was really looking forward to seeing because I wanted to see the new stadium was South Range and Crestview. That would have been a good game because that was going to be at Crestview this year, and they have that brand new football field at Crestview. So I think that would have been a great game to go see, you know, just being with the local ties I have at South Range. You know, the conference-only schedule, you're kind of handcuffed with that. That's what's tough because, you know, you signed in to be in a conference.
Yep.
So if you said, hey, we don't want to play this, then they're going to say, well, then guess what? When things go back to normal, we don't want you in our league anymore, and they can vote you out. You're stuck with that. And I hate to say you're stuck with that, but you really are. I mean, it's unfortunate you're going to have to get rid of some of those conference games or non-conference games, but when you have a conference, that's why you've got in a conference, so that you can play league teams and, you know, move on from there. So I think you got to do what you got to do. And I'm interested to see how they're going to do that. Like you said, whether it's a lottery or if they just say, hey, the first 6 games, those are what you're playing. Week 10, that doesn't happen now. So sorry for your luck.
But the problem with that is you don't play conference until week 4. So a lot of times. So when you
Well, I'm saying like you take your first 6 league games.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, you take the first 3 non-league games off the books. Your first 6 league games, you like for South Range, they're not going to play Hubbard this year if they do that, because that would have been week 10.
Yep.
So
Interesting enough. Jeff Betos, we're over to you. What's the game you're going to miss most?
To kind of piggyback off what Anthony and Beach Paul said, I have to go with South Range Springfield because it's the fact that South Range had pretty much Springfield beat last year. Obviously, the kid missed the biggest kick of his life at this point in time, missed the kick, and I would have really, 100% honest with you, I think South Range would have really just beaten up on him this year because I think South Range is that much better than Springfield this year. So that, and in the conference games, that's fine. Like, cool, you get to play at least a little bit of football, but hopefully.
Jeff, where'd you graduate from?
South Range.
Okay, just making sure. Jamie, we're on to you.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll have to go back to the Hubbard Howland. We've had multiple game release. Honestly, always like beating up on Howland as a Hubbard guy. And our other non-conference games were East Cleveland Shaw and then Norway. And like I said, Norway, not that much history, so it's going to have to be Howland.
Unbelievable. even within the frame, you hear kind of the comments between Jeff and Beach Bum down there going off on each other. Let's go to Ty Bartell. The one matchup you're going to miss most about conference play.
Go fornicate yourself.
I don't really know if there's going to be a huge matchup I'm going to miss because Falcons, with me calling the Austintown Falcons as I do, the 2 games that I always look forward to are Warren G. Harding and Boardman. And as far as my knowledge is concerned, they play both of those games still anyway because both of those teams are in their conference. And those are 2 huge rivalry games in basketball, football, all around the board. And I mean, those 2 games are still intact. So, I mean, Fitch is usually, well, not usually, I should say, but Fitch has been relatively untouched as far as some of their big games this year.
Yeah, they still have some really big games. We'll get to some of them here in a moment. Paul and Betos, behave yourself, all right? Both of you. We're trying to run a show here.
Yeah, Jeff. Jeez, keep it clean.
Billy Mack, he's on mute. I don't think he knows how to get off of mute, so he might be not talking for a little bit. Let's go to Billy Mack. Oh, of course. Damn StreamYard and their easy access.
You said I'm on mute.
He was on mute. You're good to go. What's your thoughts on the game you're going to miss the most because everything's conference play, or the majority of things are conference play?
I think the only game I'm going to miss is probably the Canfield-Poland game. That's kind of the one that they went out of conference and whatnot. So that's probably the only one locally I think I'll miss the most.
You got a whole new get up behind you now. Like you're inside. You were chilling outside on the front porch.
Well, I had some issues with my phone and some lag issues, so I went and got my PC. I said, screw this. Let's figure this
Headset
out.
on.
He's ready to go. He's got the beats. He's showing off all the tools.
Yeah, man.
Here's the one thing, guys, and I say this because obviously we are YSN. We have the video streaming capabilities now, says the OHSAA. One of the things we're looking at is pay-per-view for high school football because it drives revenue, obviously, into our company, but we can share it alongside the schools that we represent. If you were not a part of YSN, would you watch pay-per-view high school football on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday night if it were the only way that you could consume it? We'll start with you, Billy Mack.
Yeah, I think especially what's going on with college football up in the air, I think I mean my weekend could be filled with watching multiple games, and I know during last year at Max Baseball we had radio going from YSN, so I think it would be only better suited if we could do some video stuff going forward. So I'm excited about it. How do I subscribe? Let
Anthony,
me know.
You'll be the first to know. Anthony, when you look at this, you consume a lot of football on Friday night via the YSN, either it's the app or online. Will you want to do the same thing for video if it's available to you for pay-per-view?
Absolutely. I mean, Billy hit it great. If it's the only thing in town, then the answer is absolutely yes. I mean, if that's the only football you get to watch because college is gone and NFL is up in the air, wow, high school becomes a lot more easy to turn on, and you're not held to just one game a week at 10:30 at night.
I'm with you on that. Betos, free up your microphone. Are you good on pay-per-view? Would you shell out a $9.99, let's say, to watch your team on a Friday night?
Yeah, I would. It's pretty easy. You know, you can get some beer at home probably, or pop, whatever you drink. If you're ever under 21, you drink pop. But you could drink at the house and watch a football game with the family or with a bunch of group of friends that you want to, that you don't have to leave the house if even when it's cold outside now with the games. So yeah, I would definitely pitch out $10.
Paulie, what about you?
Never. No. Oh, I'm just kidding, of course. Yeah, of course I would. I mean, the thing is, I was actually talking to my wife about it. I said, think about it. If a couple, just say a couple, wants to go to a football game, you're paying $14, $7 a piece to walk through the door. And then you're going to get something to drink, get a popcorn or something, and you're going to sit in the stands. Hopefully it's warm or at least fall weather and watch a football game. Where now for $10, you can sit at home in the comfort of your own home, sit around, like Jeff said, have a couple, frosty adult beverages, have your own food at home, not have to worry about it. You can go to the bathroom, not going into a porta-john or a nasty restroom. And everything's right there at the comfort of your own home. And also, unfortunately, to agree with Jeff a little bit, you bring some buddies over. You say, hey, guys, listen, I'm going to have the game tonight. And everybody comes over and gives you $1. And, now it maybe only costs you like $4 or $5 instead. And you guys sit there and you watch the football game.
$10 is cheap.
Yeah, absolutely. $10 to save. And like I said, the comfort of your own home, that's perfect. And anybody who wouldn't do it, in my opinion, not just because we're associated with YSN, you're a fool. I mean, what else are you going to do? You can't, there's no radio anymore. You're not going to listen to it on the radio. So,
sure. Betos, you got something?
No.
Okay.
We
looked at your square and you look like this guy. You look like this guy. Just what?
Well, I was just really shocked that Paul agrees with me.
That's what it was. He was just surprised.
There it is. Let's kick it over to Tiffany and Quinn. Guys, I mean, pay-per-view, people buy $60, $70 fights, and naturally the production values are outstanding. You don't know how far it's going to go. Would you buy a high school pay-per-view on a Friday night or Saturday, whatever night it is, here on YSN and watch your favorite team?
Heck yeah. Yeah, especially if I was an alum from one of the school or whatever, and yeah, absolutely,
Make sure that,
I would watch
that checks in the mail for you, Timmy. Don't worry. Quinn, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, absolutely. You're not only, like Paul said, you're paying for comfort at that point. I would much rather stay at home and be able to watch it on my own TV from my couch. Partially, even if I go to a game, like the camera is going to be a better angle anyway than probably the seat that I'm sitting in as it is, and I don't have to listen to students and see a bunch of people I don't really want to talk to.
We just learned a lot about Quinn right there.
Yeah, I get to sit at home, enjoy my time at home, and watch a game with friends, family, whoever.
Doesn't have any friends.
Sit in my basement.
The ambiance of Quinn's basement is he locks himself in. Look at this guy over here. Thorny's trying to hide behind the pool.
Thorny.
There's no way. Who am I missing here? Ty and Jamie?
Yeah.
Let's go to Jamie.
It's kind of like watching a movie. Am I going to pay $10 to watch Taylor Lautner and Tommy Wiseau? No. Am I going to pay $10 to watch DiCaprio and Will Smith? Hell yeah, all the way. I'd pay the $10.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, where'd that go?
What?
I'm not going to pay $10. All right, I don't want to be mean here. All right, I'm an NE8 guy, but I'm not going to pay $10 to watch two trash teams slap up on each other. But I'm going to pay $10 to watch two heavyweights throw hands.
Okay, I thought there was a Taylor Swift in there. I didn't know if you were paying pay-per-view for like a
having
concert.
the option of going to other teams to watch other schools. Okay,
got it. Got it. All right, Ty.
I was like, where's he going?
I didn't know where he was going. He was naming people. I have no idea who the hell they are. Ty, go.
Exactly.
I agree with a lot with Muntz on this one too. You get to sit in the comfort of your own home, and it's relatively cheaper instead of buying the ticket and then having to buy something to eat, something to drink when you go to the games. And not to mention, you could actually buy two games. You could go back and forth between instead of trying to be two places at once. You actually can.
I like this guy. I like his thinking.
Get two games under $20, of $9.99 a game, under $20, it'll get you 2 games. You can watch 2 big games a week, and not to mention you're dumping revenue back into not only the schools but also YSN as a company to get better production value and to get better quality games in the future.
He's our own promo guy.
I've got nothing to say to that.
Dude, you got an iPhone. I got a PC here. I got a tablet here. I got a smart TV. You could go
4 games right there, but
7, 8. Get them all.
It's crazy. I mean, you think, and one of the things that we're looking at is cutting deals with some of our sponsors, like bars and restaurants, that they can have the games, multiple games going on at once, and you can frequent their location to watch all the games. And that's a big thing that we're doing right now for sponsorship dollars and to drive revenue back into the schools. So hopefully that's an option. And again, like, I don't think we've gotten heat both ways, right? People are excited about this, but there's also some skepticism. Listen, we've never done it either. We're excited to at least give it a try, to start things with football and to drive revenue, because ultimately everybody's hurting right now, especially the schools with their budgets, and to give them a little bit back, at 25% clip, that's huge when your other option is 0. So looking forward to it. Hopefully everybody's excited about it. And I guess to be continued on all this stuff. We're going to take a break. When we come back, still a lot to talk about. Doomsday Tuesday, guys. Governor DeWine coming out tomorrow, and he could put everything back in a twist really quick. We're also going to release the SVC schedules right here exclusively on YSN Power Hour. We're going to talk about the Big Ten. Are they big done? Find out in just a little bit. Also, a little baseball talk. Zach Plesac sent packing from the Windy City, and the Yankee stock is falling. We'll talk about all that and our G. Burbick Farms What's Your Beef? All that and more coming up on the YSN Power Hour, brought to you by these great sponsors.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
I'll give you one of the headsets.
Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Today in the showers, I'm keeping my eye on in parts of Columbiana County.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
And welcome back to the YSN Power Hour. DJ Oakley with you. Anthony Hartwig rolling up on the camera. I don't know, what were you doing back there with Michael Jordan?
I'm telling you, there's a cricket back there. And
there's a cricket? You're searching for crickets back there?
There's a cricket back there, and it's driving me nuts.
Interestingly, just leave that to Betos. Betos is our predator hunter. Back in the back.
Right here.
Guys, there's still a lot to talk about. One of the things that we have to discuss is what I'm calling Doomsday Tuesday, and a lot of people thinking that Governor DeWine might come out tomorrow and all the plans that the OHSAA has put together might be for naught, because he might say it's not safe to play and just pull the plug on this. My take is that every time that Governor DeWine has been away, the OHSAA has chested up and said, pounding their chest saying, we're going to do what we want to do. And then they run like a scared child whenever Governor DeWine comes back and says, no, you're not. So are you expecting Governor DeWine to come out tomorrow or at some point in the next week or so and pull the plug on all this? Or do you think that this is actually going to work? And we have another guest, Carrie Munson, down in the middle. Why don't we just start with her? She's got a great take on all of this. Go ahead,
Hey,
Carrie.
what's up?
What's going on? Dynamite drop in. Betos Jr. Let's get out of that square and let's go right back over to Hawaiian Jamie. What do you think about Doomsday Tuesday?
I'm hoping that DeWine doesn't come out and axe it all. Personally, I'd like to think that the OHSAA had to have talked to him at some point and put this out, thinking that it's going to be able to go through. And DeWine's taking a lot of heat, and if he cuts it now, I'm sure he's not afraid of it, but he's going to get a whole lot more with the hope that's just already been given to everybody.
Ty, do you feel like that's probably the way things are laid? Do you feel like the OHSAA just cranked up the pressure on the governor here?
I mean, I think they're trying to back him into a corner to force him to make a decision, and I think he really doesn't have too many more outlets to turn to before he actually has to make a decision. So, I mean, if he comes out and axes the season, at least a decision's made. It's not dragged out any longer. I mean, I think what OHSAA is basically doing is, like I said, just backing him into a corner and forcing him to say yes or no on the season.
T&Q, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, kind of to go along with what Ty was saying, I kind of thought of it like as a volleyball game almost, where OSHA kind of just set the ball up there waiting for DeWine to spike it. And it's either a positive thing or it's not. I don't really know what's going to happen, honestly, but eventually somebody's going to have to make a decision here, I would say really soon.
Yeah, he needs to make a decision one way or the other. I mean, let's make a decision and let's move on. Whether you like the decision or not, we all get those decisions we don't like, but move on.
Let's go over to the Beach Bums and let's try this again. Carrie, your thoughts on if this is going to be all for naught and Governor DeWine got to pull the plug on this?
I mean, I feel like this has been asked before, once, twice, 3 times.
35.
35 times. It just, to me at this point, I don't know what's going to happen. It's just, he's going to get flack either way.
Right.
So it's time to just decide so the kids can get back to what they want to do, or let's make a decision here.
It is nice to have a female presence on the show. I'm not going to lie to you. So thank you and welcome. Polly, over to you. Don't disagree with your wife. I think she can bury you in Myrtle Beach somewhere.
No, so what I think is going to happen is I'd like to think that, when they sat down with Lieutenant Governor Houston, and he sat down and gave these guys some parameters to go by, that obviously DeWine was in on that as well and said, hey, listen, if we can get this, and this done, we should be okay. My biggest question is going to be with schools. If he pulls the plug on school and says, hey, for the first 9 weeks, we're going remote only, how does that work with sports? I mean, are we going to pull the plug on all the sports then too? Because if kids are learning remotely, are they going to be allowed to go practice and play games? That's going to be the biggest thing. And I think that's where he might have the out to try to draw the heat off him if he says, oh, listen, I don't think we should be going back to school. We're going to go learn remotely for 9 weeks. That might be his out to not have to directly say, I don't think we should play sports. Because then now that goes on to your schools, I think, because some kids don't even go to school. They learn on the CCP, which is a college credit classes, and don't even go into the school at all. They learn online all day, but they're still allowed to come participate. So I think he's trying to divert the blame back onto the schools if he would come out and say something like that.
I'd also like to draw attention to your Pam and Jim of YSN sharing the earbuds right there. So I can dig it. So congratulate and enjoy your vacation. Don't let YSN take up all your time. Over to Jeff Betos.
That's it.
Your thoughts?
I think he does it, but I think he waits. I think he's going to make it to a couple weeks before the season starts, or sees how it goes on. To be perfectly honest with you, he just needs to be the bad guy and cancel it. If he's going to do it tomorrow, he should just be the bad guy and get get the heat from it, and 2 or 3 days, like everything on the internet just goes away. No one kind of really remembers what happens anyways.
I can get behind that. I mean, we've seen all the bad news really come on Fridays or Thursdays in the past. Do you think we'll have to wait all the way till Thursday or Friday, Ann?
No, and I don't think DeWine's ever going to be the guy that cancels football outright and this and that. I think Paul nailed it. That he's going to be the guy that comes out and says, pump the brake on school, and that'll force the hand of athletics to kind of pump the brakes if kids aren't going to school, how are they going to play sports. I don't think DeWine's never going to be the guy that comes out and says athletics are canceled. I think he might lay down some regulations on Tuesday, though, to kind of counter what the OHSAA said. And they might be pretty tight regulations.
I got to be honest, Mama Yoke making a good point. Why can't the parents make the choice? If you don't want your kid to play, don't let them play. I don't understand why this has to be sanctioned by the United States government here. Billy, your thoughts on that?
Well, I've been kind of flirting with the same idea with Paul here. I think it's going to be one of those things. I don't think the decision is going to be made. I think it's going to be kind of a lip service of, hey, it's still wait and see. It's still too early to tell. You're going to hear some of those things. But I really think that once school is back in session, you get these kids back here, I really think you're going to start to see some numbers in COVID positive come up. Now, whether they're asymptomatic or they're physically ill, that might be two different things. But once you get kids in school 2-3 weeks, that's when things may come to a halt with schools being shut down.
And look who we have here, Thorny, figuring things out all on his own to get onto the show. Thorny, what are your thoughts on this situation? Is Governor DeWine going to put the kibosh on this? Oh, he's digitized. There's nothing there. Can't hear him. Oh, try again, Thorny. We'll get you back on. We'll have a.
Is he on the internet at our house?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
he's on.
great.
He's dog watching, I think.
That's awesome. Okay, good.
Make sure you make the check payable to Todd Thorne. That's 1D in Todd. So, I mean, guys, when you look at all of this, I think that a lot of people are afraid to be the bad guy, and I'm kind of hitting on each and every one of your points. Governor DeWine isn't more privy to anybody else, or isn't going to make that decision any easier than anybody else. And I think Quinn actually had the home run here in saying it's like a volleyball game, and I feel like it's the OHSAA versus Governor DeWine and seeing, or I guess maybe even a bad game, a hot potato, where who's going to be the last one touching this particular decision. So it's going to be interesting. I hope in the case that of OHSAA and these seniors and these kids that they don't have to miss out on another season of what could have been, because we've seen how bad that ends in the last spring. So let's get over to the SVC schedules being released. I'm going to release, just kind of get to it. We'll be on ysnlive.com following our show, but we have breaking news. Cheney will start the season at Ursuline. Then they will go to Howland, Fitch, Mooney, and Canfield, and then they will play East with the site and time to be determined. East will play University School. That's going to be a 5 o'clock game on the 28th, which I believe is that a Friday or Saturday? I'm not really sure. I'm not good with dates, but either way, it's going to be at 5 o'clock. And then you have at Boardman, at Mooney, at Ursuline, at Howland, and then they play Cheney to wrap up their season on 10-3. Mooney will play Steubenville at home. Then they will be on the road at Harding. They'll play East at home, Cheney at home, at Boardman, and at Ursuline. And then you have Ursuline playing Cheney at home to open up the season. Then they play Fitch at home, at Boardman, East at home, at Harding, and then Mooney at home. A couple asterisks for this. Governor DeWine has not yet cleared contact sports such as football, field hockey, soccer. They cannot begin their contests until he gives his okay. Games are all 7 o'clock kickoffs unless otherwise noted. And the schedules, I think we all noticed this part, they are subject to change as new information is presented. So guys, out of all those, and I know I went through them quickly, is there any game of this that you're really looking forward to seeing on YSN? Ty, go ahead.
Yeah, that's, oh my God. Any of these Fitch games, I love the schedule for the Falcons this year. I think all 6 games are going to be really interesting and really competitive, having played Ursuline. And of course, we still have the Warren Harding game and the Boardman game. I think if the season does go through, I think the Falcons as a season entirely, I think the Falcons, they're their team's going to be a little bit better than it was last year, and it was already a pretty good team. And I think they're playing a lot of the great schools around the area. I think it'll be a fun season to watch for them.
Jamie, any of those kind of catch your eye?
Oh, well, the first one for me is Mooney versus Steubenville. I got to play against Steubenville 2 years ago, and I watched them play Aurora last year. Just all-around solid team, although they did struggle with a lot of, I don't know you want to say, like control issues. I don't know. They were just all over the place the last few years. I want to see if Reno can get them back on track. And then obviously East Cheney. I mean, how can you not like that?
I'm with you on that one. That's the one that stands out to me. Tim and Quinn, is there any of these that really kind of pricked your ears up?
For me, it's the Mooney Cheney game. I'd like to see what the new era of Carl Clean does. But
yeah, it's kind of the same route. I mean, any Mooney game is going to be interesting because of Coach Carl. But most importantly, Mooney Ursuline. It's one of those things you got to look forward to.
I love how you two look at each other and wait for each other's answers, like a couple of on first date or something. It's really awkward. And Tim just kind of looks at you, Quinn, like, what the hell are you going to do about this? Let's go. Tim will buy you dinner. Don't worry about it.
No,
let's go to the Beach Bums. And you two, I mean, is there any game that stands out to you that's not named South Range?
For me, obviously, there's going to be a ton of great games on YSN. I mean, that's one of the biggest concerns for me, especially with that league. I mean, there's just some powerhouse games up and down the schedule with that. But having some friends that went to Cheney, the Cheney-Mooney game is huge. And a lot of those guys were upset that wasn't the first game of the season last year.
Right.
And they were like, that's tradition. Like, tradition is you play Mooney right out the gate. And so for them to have that game is going to be huge. And, I mean, just the city series in general. Let's see Cheney and East. I mean, it's good to get Youngstown back up and running again and seeing the businesses be there, and now getting these schools back playing football. As long as we can play it, getting those rivalries back is huge. I mean, and things are blowing up at Cheney, and we see it every day. And have guys in house there that are with us at YSN, and then they're so amped up. They want to play, and those are going to be some big games.
I'm with you on that. So we'll go over to Jeff Betos. Your thoughts?
Any of the Cheney games, because they came back last year. Their team looked pretty good. Cheney coach said they had a bunch of JV kids playing. Any game that Cheney's going to play in this year.
Gotcha. All right. Oop. Helps when you turn your microphone back on. All right, over to Anthony. Go ahead.
I think Ursuline's going to have an incredible offense this year. I'm excited to see if the Irish offense lives up to the hype. So I'm excited to see that. Any Ursuline game on YSN, I'll be kind of tuning on because their offense is supposed to be really prolific this year. Must watch every time they step on the field.
I'm with you on that, and I'm just going to flip right over to this. The U guy, Max Baseball Academy floating the U. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Ursuline Mooney, and I need Ursuline to win as always, so I can talk a lot of trash to Kate and about everybody she knows.
Fair enough. And this is great technology from Todd Thorne showing off. It says Cheney is loaded, and any Cheney game is the one that he wants to watch, and that's the old school way. We were out of tablets and chisels, so we had to pick up the pen and paper. I mean, there's a lot.
I thought we were going to see smoke signals in the back.
There is a lot. I'm not going there because I don't know if he can hear you or not, so I'm not repeating it and having to own that one. Let's go to, and this is one that I was really interested for our own Michael McKenzie to be a part of, because, guys, the Big Ten is saying that they are done. They're canceling the football season. Reports out of Columbus, reports out of Indianapolis, all indicating that there was, a 12-2 vote that says that the Big Ten season is not going to happen at all. No fall sports. Your thoughts on this? We thought there might be a chance. And now the rumorville continues to go. Ty, you had some interesting takes on this. Go ahead.
Well, what was really interesting, too, is about 2 hours ago, per CBS Sports, it says that Big Ten had no vote that was held, and that was a Big Ten spokesperson that actually said that no vote was even held. And I think it just goes back to just poor communication between NCAA and the media, and I think it goes on all assets and all facets of everything going on. I really do think that as far as this is concerned, I think the vote was held. I think the spokesperson's trying to just cover up things and trying to not let the bad news out too early right now, honestly. And I think you're going to hear it anyway that the league or the Big Ten is going to cancel their season as one of the Power 5 schools. But yeah, I think it's just another interesting layer to the whole story that this is all going on. And some are saying that a vote was held. Some were saying that no vote was held at all.
What's the end game for someone saying that the vote wasn't held if it indeed was? Because we're all going to find out tomorrow either way, right? So you just look like a complete asshat if it is indeed if it was held. So Hawaii and Jamie, we're over to you. Aloha.
Aloha again. It seems the report I saw, Big Ten's out, Big 12's going to be out, ACC and Pac-12 are both kind of trying to hold on. I just saw ESPN, Pac-12 is going to have a meeting, but the SEC is the only one really trying to salvage the season. And something that kind of popped into my mind, SEC in this big power conference, why don't you let in Ohio State, why don't you let in Clemson, let in Oklahoma. If you want to make it even better television, let the big teams come in and just let them duke it out in the SEC.
I'm behind that, except for I think there's a power struggle that could come from that with the NCAA being pushed to the side. So it'd be interesting to see that one way or the other. Let's go to our NCAA affiliate, Timmy and Quinn, the guy that knows most about the NCAA and all these Brady squares. I mean, is this something that you'd want to see, Tim? And how much legitimacy do you feel like this is having across the way?
What?
Do you feel like this is legit? Do you think the Big Ten is done for the fall?
Yeah, I think it's legit. I think they're done for the fall. And I think you're just going to start seeing the domino effect. I feel bad for the kids. It is what it is. I mean, we just got to deal with it and move on.
Yeah. And what about you, Quinn?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Tim. It's going to create a domino effect. I mean, that's the Big Ten's one of the power conferences. Like if Ohio State says they're not doing it, then a lot of things will kind of fall into place there. Not only just in college football, but like just in the area of where we're at. Like if Ohio State says they're not doing something, YSU kind of follows it. Akron, Kent, like a lot of the areas, smaller schools kind of follow along with what's going on with Ohio State. The only thing that I'm a little mad about is now I can't see Ryan Day hang 100 on Michigan.
That's true. And we go to the beach bums. I'll unmute you because we can hear the waves crashing on all of our monitors. So stop unmuting yourself. Guys, what do you think about this? Do you feel like Ohio State and the Big Ten is this legit, or do you think we'll still see fall or college in the fall?
So I think from some of the things I've been watching and reading as well is they were talking about no conference out of the big Power 5 wants to be the first one to come out and cancel.
True.
Because then they said that almost forced the other ones to do it because nobody wants to be first, nobody wants to be last. And the one thing I read about was they said that they want to get the Power 5 conference commissioners together, all together at the same time, whether it be video conference or in a room somewhere, and they want to talk about it and then as a group come out as a Power 5 and say, hey, listen, we as a Power 5 are going to cancel fall sports and go from there. I mean, with the Big Ten, we saw some things where maybe they were going to contemplate a bubble, do a bubble starting in February and have 3 places that they were going to have football games. I think, and I get it. I understand the college aspect of it because you've got, thousands of kids in a school from all over the country, if not all over the world, sometimes coming to these universities to study, and you're traveling state to state. Where there's high schools, you're staying in state. Sometimes you're only traveling county to county. It's a little easier to manage the high school kids than it is the college. But, I mean, it'll be tough if there's no college football. I mean, she had a good point about that.
Why'd you take it then?
Well, I don't know what he and my dad are going to watch on TV if there's no college football. But if I have to watch football, I would pick that besides high school because I feel like there's too much drama with professional and that's all they, put on the news. So
Eric Bailey with some breaking news, obviously not part of the show today, saying DeWine says there will likely be an announcement on college, professional, and high school sports sometime next week. From my experience, that's not necessarily a good thing if they're categorizing them all at one time, because I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all solution to all those high school, college, and professional ranks. So it's going to be interesting, guys.
A big thing too that we were talking about off air was think about our economy as well. If you don't have college sports in the fall, how many restaurants and bars live on those big games when people come in and eat and drink and watch the games on their TVs? Now they're not coming in for those. So now there's even more of your economy getting affected because people aren't going to go out and watch games and stuff on TV.
I'm with you. Jeff Bezos, you want to clean this up?
Yeah, I see. Like Quinn said, you're going to see if Ohio State's first team to come out, the first university to say, "Hey, we're not playing football next year." I really think a lot of schools around in Ohio will do the same thing. But I can also, and this is going to throw a little curveball, I can also really think about the NCAA kind of like being a little scared of this union thing that's been going on for the last couple of weeks. If you really think about it, the college, I think it was college football, the Big Ten came out and said they would lose $79 million this year if they do not have college football. Okay. So you really think about it, this union thing has happened at a perfect time. Now you have a lot of players speaking about it. They want to play. It came out, there was a little bit of thing that came out that I read last week when I got off the show, was that the college kids were scared to play. And that is not true at all, because there's a bunch of, Trevor Lawrence came out and said today that he wants to play. The Ohio State quarterback said he wants to come. Fields said he wants to come out and play. I could really see the NCAA kind of holding back and being like, okay, this is what we're going to do, so these kids don't get a union. Why not?
I miss Saturday Jeff. This is stock market Jeff that's trying to make points and stuff. I miss the guy that just likes to laugh. Bring him back, Bezos. We'll go over.
Sorry, I got it off the Pat show today.
We'll go over. Stop stealing off of freaking Pat McAfee. We're going over to Anthony Hartley. Go ahead.
He needs his buddy. That's why he needs Quinn to sit with him.
And I just want some transparency, because what happened that caused this such a big pivot in Big Ten? On Wednesday, they released the schedule, and they were going home about a season, and then all of a sudden Saturday it was like, we're probably going to cancel. What happened in 2 days, guys?
Really going after him. All right, Ant. All right. I appreciate that. Billy Mack. Oh, I'm sorry. Billy Mack, let's go to you and kind of finish this one off.
Well, I got a couple different thoughts with it. I understand that this is such a difficult decision to make, but I really think that if one power conference goes down, you have to fold every single one, no matter what, because basically it's going to affect every university a little different when it comes to recruiting, when it comes to scholarships, when it comes to what happens now with Justin Fields, right? Does he stay another year? Does he has the option to maybe go into the draft next year if we have a draft? But other players, do they stay as a freshman like college baseball? Because now you're fighting incoming freshmen for the following year. High school's not going to stop. You're going to graduate high school. So that part of the world is going to keep turning. But as a college athlete now, is it like baseball where you have to come in as a new freshman? So I think they're trying to figure that out with all the conferences. You can't play ACC, SEC schools and combine as a league and play, because now what happens is Alabama's kids have to go up a year, whether it be a sophomore to a senior or to a junior, and then Ohio State kids get to stay as sophomores. So then when they play next year as across the country, everything is assumed goes back to some sort of normalcy. Now Justin Fields is not only a redshirt but a returning junior. So what happens there? So that's kind of my concern with a lot of the things. Like, do they do it like baseball, where you kind of get your year back? But that was across the board. I don't see anybody playing college football, especially if one power conference goes down.
We're going to.
Well, I think what they were going to try to do is move it to the spring, though. That's the thing. Like there will be football.
It sounded like it was canceled as a whole. They said they were going to be determined for the spring, but it sounds like they are going to cancel the football season.
we were talking about maybe the ACC would still play. I don't think that's a possibility.
So here's the interesting thing, guys. Is as you guys were talking, got some breaking news into to YSN in one of the schedules. We talked about the schedules earlier today, and that teams are scheduling 6 games and then going into the playoffs. Well, I just received Edison's 2020 amended football schedule. They're starting off at Toronto on opening night. Then they take a week off, and then they go at Burnsville. Then they play Steubenville Catholic Central, followed by Beaver Local, which is their homecoming. Then they play East Liverpool going into the playoffs. That's 5 games. Then they have 2 weeks that are dictated for the playoffs. Then they follow up with 3 games already. So they went ahead and scheduled 3 games after the season already. Now, Edison hasn't had much in the way of success in football in the last few years, but they've already scheduled Wellsville, Indian Creek, and Lisbon. So when you look at that,
so they're anticipating being knocked out within the first 2 weeks.
Well, not
and they're
just,
thinking the other schools are going to be knocked out too.
I think you have to prepare yourself for this because those games are going to come and go fast.
But not only that, but they're 2 away games. Out of those 3 games, 2 of them are away. So when you look at this, I think this is a really good move by the athletic directors of saying, okay, we kind of know where we're going to be at. If let's say that they make an unbelievable run in the playoffs, you can always cancel those last 3 games or 2 or 1 or whatever it is, but you're working towards it. This is what can be done. I think that if you just go 6 games and that's it, and then you play the playoff card, that you're going to be looking at trouble. So hats off to the folks down in Edison. Joanne Stegani does a great job down there, and as well as the athletic directors that made the final games come to conclusion, because that's fantastic. We're in overtime right now, but we're going to go we're going to put the kibosh on the Yankee stock falling. I know that's going to hurt a lot of people on our panel today, Jamie and Jeff. I know you're not you're crushed that we're not going to talk trash on the Yankees, and Zach Plesac sent packing from the Windy City because essentially he's just going out trying to catch Corona. So we won't talk about that, but we will talk about our G. Burbick Farms. What's your beef, guys? As always, it's brought to you by G. Burbick Farms. You can go on the web and have their meat from their farm to your freezer as soon as today. GBurbickFarms.com, proud sponsor of YSN. Let's go to Billy Mack with your beef.
My beef is the grammar police that surrounds me with my coach, with all of our coaches at certain baseball organization, and now I am trending through their circle right now. So leave me alone. Okay, let me do what I do. That's my beef.
All right, Ann, over to you.
I know on Friday I had a serious beef and it shocked everyone.
You killed our buzz, is what you did.
I'll keep it light today and go with baseball announcers, especially at the National View. The jokes about no fans in the stands were funny for the first week and a half. Find new material, the joke's old, and move on.
All right. On to you, Jeff Bezos. Help us.
My beef's with you because you think the Yankees stock's falling, and it's perfectly fine. The Yankees got a couple bad games, and
Against
they'll be
who?
back winning games. That's all.
Against who?
That Tampa team, they're still in second place. That's okay.
Okay.
Still in second place, still 2 back.
On to you, Mr. Beach Bum.
All right, my G. Burbick Farms, what's my beef, is actually that it's a sympathetic beef. My beef is that you guys can't be down here to enjoy this. Today we could have had a pop-up power hour down here in Myrtle Beach. So that is my beef, that you guys couldn't be down
Are
here.
you going to pay for everyone to go down there, Paul?
Paul, thanks for the invite.
Yeah, I don't remember even getting an invite.
Either.
Yeah.
All right, over to these guys. Go ahead.
Go ahead, you first. My beef's with you. Oh, yeah. My beef is, why am I not on here a lot more?
That's a great point. I guess because Quinn likes to come to HQ a lot more. Go ahead, Quinn. Clean this one up, and then we'll talk after.
All right. No, my beef's with you too then for that comment. I would much rather hang out with Tim every day than sit with Jeff in the same box.
This is going to be beautiful. Hawaiian Jamie.
My beef is with people hating on the Yankees. Yes, we dropped 2 of our last 5. They were to the Rays. struggled with the Rays last year. They're not a terrible team. Paxton pitched well, and he blew that lead. Garrett Cole still a baller. Did he have some pine tar on his hat? Probably. Did he get tossed in the game? No. So who gives it?
Where's my pine tar for Garrett Cole, real quick?
My beefs with people who are in disagreements that can communicate and work to a sensible solution, and instead are always trying to argue and just find things to argue about one another instead of just communicating.
Is that like a beef with all of us?
No, not at all.
That's basically the show.
Show, yeah. What we do here.
Ty Bartell, not seen on Tuesday because he doesn't like disagreeing. My beef is going to be the same as Todd Thorne, who is here in Technology Challenge, but we will give him this. He did write this for me. So it is Quinn, just because. We all hate you, Quinn. So enjoy that. So appreciate everybody tuning in for the Power Hour. Thought there were a lot of good topics today. And if you'd like to chime in, you know how to do it. All you got to do is check our social media and chime in from anywhere. We encourage keyboard warriors to come out of the woodwork, and there's not a whole lot of places that do that. So from all of us to all of you, we'll see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock, right here on the YSN Power Hour. Say so long, boys.